Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you are safe and that you are with someone who cares for you, who you also care about. We're in September. We made it. We made it through another month. It doesn't feel like September here right now. It's very humid. Although we've got the cloud level that we would normally associate with Oregon at this time of year, there is this oppressive humidity that I would associate with eastern states, not here on the West Coast, but I'll get used to it. However, I am very tired and exhausted. So if I say things that sound a bit weird or I kind of get halfway through a thought and then peel off in a different direction, please be gentle with me. We had Labor Day on Monday, so we all had a day off. Tuesday and Wednesday, I worked the equivalent of a full week's worth of work in 2 days because on Friday, which was a couple of days ago, hopefully, fingers crossed, I jumped on a plane and headed to an event in Germany. You can probably guess which one. Alternatively, I may not have gone. Part of my stresses this week was the fact that we had a company invite us over at last minute and trying to get all the required agreements sorted out and agreeing that, yeah, we're journalists, we're not influencers, so we're not signing influencer stuff, but we will agree to standard journalistic practice, has been a real pain in the butt. And if everything isn't arranged and sorted by noon on Thursday, we're not going. Which has just made me feel really stressed. But hey, if I haven't gone, I've had Friday off. I've had a long weekend and I'm chilling at home, which is probably going to do me some good given the stressful week I've had. I feel sorry for my poor therapist. I normally have therapy on a Wednesday, but because I, crammed all this work into 2 days, I have been hyper-focusing all week. And Wednesday at my normal time, I was doing Thursday stuff. So my brain does different things on different days. And because I'm going to potentially be heading to the airport on Friday is normally edit day for TEN. So my edit day was shifted up to Thursday, so I can edit TEN on a Thursday. And then my Thursday work, which is scripting and filming TEN and these, was shifted to Wednesday, which meant today was a Thursday in my head, despite yesterday, Tuesday, being Monday in my head. And I completely skipped what I normally do on a Wednesday, which includes my therapy. So I apologize to my therapist. They are cool. I am happy. I don't know why I just told you all that, but hey, this is a behind the scenes channel. So either you watched it or you flipped me off. Don't tell me which. I don't want to know. Anyway, today I want to know your thoughts on per mile EV taxation. Now, we've talked about this before on the channel a little bit. We've talked about it on Sunday Musing before, but not this week's TEN, previous week's TEN. We covered a proposal by Oregon to introduce per mile mandatory charging for EVs. That would make Oregon the second state in the union after Hawaii to charge EV owners based on how far they drive, not their vehicle. Now, at the moment in Oregon, if you have an EV, you do pay a higher registration fee every 2 years for your tags. That's fairly standard now across the US. Some states do it, some states don't. I think my tags this time round were like $400 and some. I have to pay a little more because I have a Crater Lake plate, which supports Crater Lake, which is one of our amazing places you can go if you visit Oregon. It's in the southern part of the state. But the point is that Oregon doesn't have a very high population density, unlike Washington and California, which makes more money and sends more money to the federal government than it gets from the federal government. Oregon is the other way around. We actually send money to the federal government, but we actually get more money from the federal government than we send. And that has led, especially under the current White House and the current administration, to deficits in Oregon's transportation budget. And in order to try and recoup some of those costs, Governor Tina Kotek has been asking the Oregon legislature to introduce this new law. It's passed the House as of the time of filming. It has not passed the Senate yet because one of the people that's required to vote in favour of it is currently recovering from some surgery, so they've postponed the vote in the Senate by a couple of weeks, but it looks like it will pass. And when it passes, it will kind of roll in. If your registration is due for renewal, instead of paying the old fees, you will have to have some kind of tracking either installed in your vehicle or manually reported. I'm not sure how it's going to work. And you will be charged a fee based on how many miles you have driven in the state. I did some rough back of the envelope maths, and if you drive 20,000 miles a year, you'll pay $400 a year in extra taxes. Now, I personally don't have a problem with EV owners contributing towards road upkeep. I think we should. And I also think that if you own a big, heavy vehicle like our F-150 Lightning, you should be paying more than if you own a little tiny electric hatchback like my Bolt EV. And therefore, here at the house, we have both sides of that equation. So we try and use the Bolt more, as we currently do, and the truck less. And that will even out our fees. Obviously, the motorbike, I don't know if that's going to be included or not, because right now there isn't an extra charge for me, interestingly, for the electric motorbike. I think it kind of snuck in under the radar because there are so many motorbikes in Oregon, but very few of them are electric. So I think that's probably how it works for that. But I would love to know if that's something that you would welcome where you live, or if that's something that you'd be like, no, that is terrible. Someone is biting me. It's that time of day. I want to know if you are supportive of a per mile tax for EV use, or if that is something that you think is invasive and is a path to monitoring your activities, when at the end of the day, let's be honest, if you have a modern EV, your modern EV has telematics. My truck knows where it is at all times. My car knows where it is at all times. And my bike will probably know where it is at all times because I'm going to put a GPS unit in it when it's complete for other reasons. So, while we have the technology to know where our vehicles are, and I'm totally okay reporting that, I do have some privacy concerns. What happens when it comes to law enforcement? Does that give law enforcement access to your data? Can you suddenly get speeding tickets because you were 1 mile over the speed limit, or you were running late and you were on this really quiet country road and you opened your car up? I would love to know how you feel about that. Personally, I know that if that were the case, I would have some speeding tickets. I'm just going to say, hand on heart, there have been times when I've, pushed it in my vehicle on a flat road that I can see a long way into the distance and there's no risks to any other road users. I have, not here in the US, but I've done it definitely in the UK when I was much younger. And over here, if I'm on a quiet road, I'm not making sure that I stick 100% to the speed limit. I'm driving based on what I can see, and if I can see the road is clear ahead, I will open it up more than if it's a twisty road. You drive appropriately based on where you are. Does that mean we're going to see speeding tickets coming from this system? And is it also going to discourage people from driving EVs? That's the other thing I want to know, because we've got a lot of EV drivers in Oregon. There are many, many, many of us, like 200,000, I think, plus EVs registered in the state, approximately. So that's a lot of money potentially for the state, and you can see why they're doing it. But will that also discourage people from going electric? Because right now Oregon has very generous incentives, $7,500 if you time it right. Because Oregon's EV incentive program always runs out of money every year, and you have to time your purchase just right so that you can apply for it. There are some pretty strict income limits, whether you can or cannot apply for it. But if you are lucky to get the $7,500 rebate, that means, and you don't drive a lot, that means you've got a lot of free miles, ticking up on your registration. So maybe it would work. Maybe you think, hey, I think I'm probably going to get 5 years of free miles, so I don't have a problem with that. Or maybe you're like, I do have a lot of miles driven because I live in a more rural area. And of course, the other thing to bear in mind is we do have super commuters in Oregon. I know it sounds weird, but there are people who live in more remote areas who drive longer distances to get to and from work every day. People who do like 100 miles in their EV, and they bought an EV because it made more sense. I knew of someone in Washington who, drove, I think, somewhere in the order of 300 miles a day for them and they had an EV because it was cheaper for them to drive 300 miles a day in their EV than it was for them to drive anything else. That would change the equation if you had to pay a per mile use for that, wouldn't it? So let me know your thoughts in the down below. I'm sorry I'm being so enigmatic about my trip. I really want to go. I'm nervous about coming back into the US because, you know, say no more. And, well, if I'm here next week, I either made the trip successfully and came back successfully, or I didn't go. And if I'm not here, you'll know why. Take care of yourself, be kind, and I'll see you, hopefully, fingers crossed, next week. Thanks for joining me today, and if you've got thoughts, make sure you leave them in our Discord chat room, on our Patreon page, down below, on our blog, or you can reach out to us on Mastodon or Blue Sky. Thanks to the amazing list of people scrolling by on your screen right now. They are part of the massive community of supporters who make this channel possible, helping us through Patreon and YouTube, covering our bills, paying our team, and helping us to remain 100% independent. If you'd like to join them and see your name listed here, just follow the link below. We've got options available across a wide range of different price points from just $1.50 US a month. A massive welcome to our newest supporters: M. Wessie, Les Magnar, MX Flounder, NYTMR, Thrill Nelly, Hernan Giraldo, Christopher Bloodworth, Eric Rouvier, Ronnie E. Bickers Jr., Brett Mason, George Piney, Mega XLR, Robert Coghill, Peter Vodka, Gary Wood, Dessa Bird Traveller, Tim van der Loeng, Mike Clark, Kyle Olin, Rob Hutchinson, Tony Ladig, Chris Nichols, Tempest, Adrian Atwater, Doug Lloyd, Mitch Rasner, and Brad. To join the list and get your shout out, become a paid Patreon member for your moment of fame, and you can even gift membership to someone else. If you'd like to support us with a one-off donation, you'll find links below to make Ko-fi and Bitcoin donations, and we even have an old-fashioned PO box you can reach us at. Address on our website. You'll also find links to our swag store, and if you're someone who has to shop on Amazon, please consider using our affiliate link so we get the commission, not Jeff Bezos. So we can continue to focus on making our content even better and reduce burnouts, we are being a little freer with our release days, but plan on dropping new content every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday on our main channel, plus something on Sunday over on TE Take 2. If you want more, the mighty algorithm that hates us thinks you should be watching this video, but we think this one is one you should also check out. Be awesome, be kind, be intentional, and don't forget to resist. Keep evolving.